Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Beyond the Headlines. I am here with Linda Paris, and on today's show we are going to be talking about time travel. We'll be talking about the Montauk Project, Philadelphia Project. We're going to get into a bunch of stuff today. I know this is a premiere, so it's good to have you with us. We're going to be getting into a lot of information that I think most of you will find most intriguing. Linda, how are you doing today? You doing good?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Thomas?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Again, this is a premiere because I do have my son this weekend, so we are not doing this live. So, guys, if you would, please subscribe to both of our channels, McAllister TV, True Reporting. We both have PayPals and Patreons, and you can also donate to the Super Chat down below the chat. Guys, this is a very interesting topic that a lot of us talk about in this movement. And I know one of the things that I immediately gravitate towards is Baron Trump's Underground Adventures. Those books were incredible. That book was incredible. That leads into 1900, The Last President. I actually just got done reading an article, and it was bashing both. And as soon as I read who wrote the article, it was Mike Rothschild. So I was just like, well, this just validates it furthermore. But we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today, about mostly on time travel. So I'm stoked on it, Linda. You've been doing a lot of research into this the past couple of days, correct?
I have. I did a video, I don't know, I think it was in end of 2016, maybe beginning of 2017, about the Philadelphia project. And I had always read about this Philadelphia project and that something terrible happened, that the military is trying to make a ship disappear. I mean,
Right.
that flies in the face of everything we know about science and everything, which we now know that was all a lie. They've been hiding science. So going back and looking at this Philadelphia experiment again, when all this stuff started coming up, and I realized, wait a minute, there was that ship that they tried to make disappear. So I really dug into it, and they tried to make it disappear and reappear in another place and time. And they had used the research of Nikola Tesla and some of his research to make it happen. And they were just sloppy, I guess, in a way, because they were trying this, trying that, trying this. They weren't even thinking. They were just, if they could figure out how to try something, they'd try it. Well, in this case, all this stuff went really horribly wrong. And it's a matter of documentation that these people, a lot of the people on the boat survived, and they talked about what happened. And this boat did disappear. And it did reappear, but when it reappeared, it was a mess. And
Yeah.
people were actually fused into the boat, like faces were coming out of the wall, and people were still alive in there screaming. None of them lived very long once the whole thing had transferred over. And some of them were just dead, stuck in walls. They had been fused in with the wall. Like they're,
That's
yeah.
exactly what it says. It says in this experiment, Allen Day claimed the destroyer escort, the USS Eldridge, was rendered invisible and teleported from Philadelphia to New York to another dimension where it had encountered aliens and teleported through time, resulting in the deaths of several sailors, some of whom were fused with the ship's hull. Jessup dismissed Allen Day as a crackpot. Of course,
Yeah.
they have to do this. The Navy right now still, I believe, since 1955, it says here that they still say that no such experiment ever took place. Well, of course they're going to say that. Of course they're going to say that. But who's to say it didn't, right? Why did this come up? How did this story even, appear? Unless there's some truth to it, right?
Right. And Thomas, excuse me, I just want to mention right after you say that, because
Mhm.
validating what you just said, there's also, we already know back in the 60s, they were giving people LSD, without their knowledge, just to see. And on the face of it, the reports say something like they wanted to see if they could mind control or get, what they could do with it as a mind altering drug, and all the things they could do with it when they were interrogating people. But knowing what we know now about other dimensions and drugs and all of this other stuff, it really makes you wonder if there weren't other motivations behind those LSD. But we already know the government will do something to people. They have no problem doing something, the military, to people without their knowledge even.
Sure.
These men to sign up for this project, we don't even know what they actually signed up for.
Yeah,
they may not have even signed up for this.
Exactly. It's just like the Tuskegee Airmen. I mean, they injected syphilis into them, and they experimented with these black guys that are flying for our Air Force. It's sick. So, I mean, who knows what it could go so much deeper than that. I mean, and that's been declassified to us. There's so much more that has not been declassified. I mean, even with JFK, I mean, we can something as prominent as that everyone witnessed then. I mean, they withhold everything from us. So who's to say that this never took place? I tend to think that time travel isn't what we think it is. I don't think you need a ship. I don't think you need anything like a physical thing to be inside of. I think that you time travel through your thoughts. It's like remote viewing, so on and so forth. I mean, maybe because all you have is consciousness and this meat suit. So it's like, what really is time travel, right? I don't think it's Back to the Future. I don't think it's like that.
Well, you raise an interesting point, and I was thinking about this just last night. So synchronicity over here.
Okay.
I was thinking about this exact thing that you just said, and I was thinking about the DNA, and I was thinking about how, I actually was thinking I'm not really. This body is not me.
No.
Okay. So I was kind of thinking that way, like, how is my experience coming through this body? Like, I'm basically in an avatar, but my DNA holds all my being in it,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So talking about astral projection and these, we don't know what kind of energy fields are around us because they're hiding that too. They're not going to let us know. Obviously, if we find out what the real nature, it's not air, it's not what we think it is. It's more than that. And there's more going on here. But that's why there's free energy and all these other things, that they want to hide the nature of our
development.
Yeah, and they want us to think that none of this stuff is possible.
Right. They love keeping us asleep. They love keeping us dumb because why? Because they can manipulate us easier. That's why. They can do these they can put stuff in the air. They can put stuff in the water, put stuff in the food, and we're just going along with it because, hey, we trust the government. And I think that this time is depleting rapidly. Their grasp, their hold on us is loosening. We're breaking from these sorts of it is manipulation, but it's also a form of slavery. It's what we are to them. Yeah. They use us for our energy, and I think they know what these meat suits are. They know that we're special people, and again, I don't think we need this body to time travel. I really don't think we need to.
Well, and to that point, I was thinking about the DNA. And I was thinking about how these psychics, there's a theory that these psychics have the ability to read in to people's DNA. And that's how they know what happened at the crime scene or where the body is or whatever. And if you notice, I've been watching a lot of psychic detectives lately.
Sure. A lot of people who watch our shows love those shows.
But they don't get on a spaceship. They don't do any of that stuff. They do it just holding something that belonged to the victim because it's got their DNA on it, their hair, whatever. And they can tap into that DNA. And they don't need any special equipment for that. So I was thinking about that in terms of astral projection, which we already know the Soviets were researching astral projection and all kinds of astral projection. They wanted their spies to be able to leave the body, go over, read the documents.
Sure. And there are papers on this. There's
Yeah.
white papers on this sort of thing. If you don't know what astral projection is, I'll bring it into right here. Astral projection or astral travel is a term used in esotericism to describe an intentional out-of-body experience, OBE, that assumes the existence of a soul or consciousness called an astral body that is separate from the physical body and capable of traveling outside it throughout the universe. I don't know. Obviously, I think you can get outside of your body. I think that we're so dumbed down and we're so asleep that we're just not able to. But there's a reason. There's a reason that our president says we're very, very special people. He knows. You don't think he knows about this stuff? You don't think he's done this before? I guarantee you that whole family, and I question that family. Most of you know what I mean. I question it in a very good way. What they actually are. I don't know what they are, but they're very, very special people. For them to come in here and dismantle something that's been in place for thousands of years, they just kind of, hey, he wins. She was supposed to win the whole time. Thick Ankle was supposed to win, and then all of a sudden he comes in and wins everything, and we're supposed to witness all this stuff, and then 17 appears, and then all this stuff starts coming to fruition. I'm telling you, I don't think they are who they say they are. And if they're talking, if there are white papers on astral projection, if there's white papers on, white papers, government papers on remote viewing, they're teaching these people how to do this. So why can't we? Because we're asleep and we have been enslaved into not being able to do so. But I think in a very short time, we'll be learning to, through the awakening of our consciousness, through the global connection of everything, I think we'll be able to turn on these different abilities, which is going to be amazing for everyone underneath, right?
Yeah. And also to add to that, they're also feeding us, you can't even go. I go into a Winn-Dixie and everything's in a box or in plastic or something. It doesn't even look like food. It's all neon colors, and even the food inside is like this, fake green, it's like the neon green. It's like day-glow green. It's nothing that looks like food.
No.
It's like the last thing from food. So we're on high carbs. We've got all these GMOs and genetically modified, and that's a whole nother can of worms because they're mixing stuff up in there that we don't even want to know about. You talk about, getting those shots that help you and all this other stuff that's dumbing us down. It's like, and back in the day, there used to be this cult called the Moonies, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it was Reverend Sun Young Moon was his name. And the extraordinary thing about this cult is it was a worldwide cult, but it was becoming very powerful. This was back in the 70s, I think. They were gaining a lot of money. Of course, now I look back and think it's a CIA op, but back then it looked like it was growing. That was what it looked like. And when you went places, there'd be these Moonies in the parking lot, like you'd go to the mall or something, and these Moonies would come up to you, and their eyes would be all glazed over. Later on, it came to light that they had kept these people in a housing situation, and they took everything away from them. Everything they earned or whatever they got, they had to give to Reverend Moon, and they fed them nothing but starch and all kinds of carbs and starch. No green vegetables, no fruits, no meat, no nothing like that. Just all starch. And what it did was it deadened their minds and their brains. They walked around in a fog. They all said it.
It's like the pineal gland, right? Like that's what they do when they hit us with the fluoride. Is that it dulls and minuscules our pineal gland and like shuts down that whatever we're capable of doing, because we're only, I don't know how much, what portion of percentage we use of our minds is very small, which again leads me to think, what the hell else are we capable of doing? Which I want to show you this. The Stargate Project, which people, this is what I was talking about earlier, is code name given to one of several studies carried out by the United States federal government for the purpose of investigating, this is real, the potential employment of psychic abilities in military tactics. carried out from 1972 all the way until 1995, and you bet your bottom dollar they're still doing it, unless they've perfected it. But the Stargate project was also known under such code name as Gondola Wish, Scanate, Sunstreak, Grill Flame, and Center Lane. The Stargate project hinged on earlier research of psychic phenomenon carried out at the American Society for Physical Research at the Standard Research Institute, and was prompted by similar psychic research which was being conducted by the Russian military during the Cold War era. Why? Because they're trying to remote view and see what we're doing, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to understand. They're getting wartime tactical ways of how they can infiltrate us, not by spies, physical spies, but actually remote viewing into us, right? Psychic readings. It's crazy. The project was.
That's not a conspiracy theory.
No, this is
at
true.
all.
This is white papers. All I typed in was just a summary of what Project Stargate is, which is a real white paper documents that is on the internet that you can look at. So it says this project was particularly focused on investigating the potential of remote viewing, the alleged ability to see physical evidence of information at a great distance, as well as precognition, the ability to see the future, telekinesis, the ability to move and manipulate objects. A reported 22 remote viewers in approximately 14 research labs were worked on. $20 million US. The Stargate project was at its peak. The FBI, the CIA, the various government military agencies disclosed this to the public. And they disclosed it in 1995 to the public. Time magazine stated that 3 physics were still employed with the project out of Fort Meade, Maryland. So to say that none of this exists, to say that, hey, Project Montauk, the Philadelphia project, trying to make a battleship disappear and then people get fused into the hull of the ship, you saying that's bullcrap? I don't consider that bullcrap.
Yeah, and another thing, you can always tell it's true anyway, because if you search time traveler or Sumerian tablets, the everything on the first, I would say the first page, but they've even fixed it now. So you have to keep adding to the same page and scroll down. So
Right.
They
suppress it.
Because it used to be you could go to like the 10th page, right?
Right.
It's not on the first page. It's probably somewhere way up. So you could just find the 10th page and go there. No, you can't do that anymore. You have to scroll all the way down and go more. Scroll all the way down. There's more 10 times. So now they're making it even harder for you to find this truth. And they're putting this crap where if you just search Sumerian tablets and time travel, what you're going to see is conspiracy theory. And it's all like conspiracy theorists now think that Montauk, a military base, was involved in time travel.
Sure.
And
there you go.
Right there. It's not a conspiracy theory. These are the ancient tablets. I mean, tell me those don't look like helicopters and cars and spacecraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like where did they get these ideas from? I mean, this isn't writing. These are symbols. They're drawings. It's encrypted into stone, right? It's this is real. This isn't photoshopped or anything like that. So even back then, the Sumerian text, not the text, but it's etched into stone. They wanted to get this out there. Tablets. They wanted it to. They knew that it would be in these tablets. They knew that it would be left for others to see because obviously they were wiped off the planet. So there's a reason why these images exist and why you have there's so much on here, guys. How advanced they were.
I think the Anunnaki, the Sumerian tablets are somehow related to the Anunnaki. Mm-hmm. And I read something really super interesting last night. I was looking at these old Freemason documents that I have on a disc, and I found this Athanasius Kircher. Athanasius Kircher is his name. He's a Jesuit. And the thing was written in 1400s, and he wrote all of these things. He did one about hollow earth or inner earth, which is illustrated like you would not believe. But this guy Kirshner was talking about this Babel, this Tower of Babel, right?
Sure.
Only his Tower of Babel is a little bit different from the one. Then this is from 1400. Is a little bit different from the one in the. I don't know if that's Tower of Babel is in the Bible or not. Do you?
I don't know. I can definitely look that up right now.
But this one's not all wrecked, and this one's built straight up. It looks like a rocket, and there's text associated with this Kirshner guy.
It is in the Bible, Genesis 11:1.
Okay, and but this one's a little bit different. This one's straight up like a rocket, and this goes back to them trying to reach the moon not being what we think it is, being some kind of either library or spacecraft or something that got stuck up there. And now it's up there. And they're trying to get the information from there down here. And they feel like they can do it through all these things because I guess we're sitting here talking about astral projection and all this stuff. We already know the Vril maidens.
Right.
They were talking to somebody that gave them something. I mean, they made those orbs and things, I mean, they made stuff. They had unknown weapons, the Nazis did, back in World War II. That's how come Admiral Byrd had to turn around and run because of Project High Jump. They didn't expect this stuff. They didn't even know what it was.
It's so advanced. And again, like, I think we're talking about the Vril Society. We're talking about the Sumerians and Anunnaki and all these kind of these civilizations back then. I think back then people were extremely able to use these abilities, and then this whatever they are, this deep state, this death cult, so on and so forth. They were like, well, we've got to nip this in the butt because we need to enslave these people, and we can't enslave them if they have the same abilities as we do. We are them and they are us. Let's be honest. So if they can suppress our ability through fluoride, through chemtrails, through so on and so forth, then they can take advantage of us, manipulate us, keep us asleep, use us for our energy, make us slaves. They can do whatever they want to do. They can do the Agenda 21, get us down to 500,000 people, and then do whatever they want to with AI and breed us with that or whatever. So I really think that were these people special back then? They're the same people. Well, they're us, right? Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is that we've been poisoned and we've been set into this mindset of, we're dumb and we don't get it. And we go to these schools that are created by a federal government that we're not learning what we're supposed to be learning. So it's not our fault. But we're taking back what is our God-given abilities from the get-go, from our ancestors, from people of ancient civilizations. We will get that back because this is the golden age and this is the great awakening.
I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He has a French name and it's very sort of frou-frou, but he writes, I want to say LaRue, or I forgot what his name is, but he writes Westerns. And I'll think of it probably. He's a really, really famous Louis L'Amour. That's who it is, Louis L'Amour.
Okay.
And with a name like that, you would think that he would write romance novels, but he writes Westerns, and they're really good stories, very good. So he wrote this story about this guy who was, he had some mining tools and stuff. He wanted to go mine up where the Indians said, don't mine or we're going to kill you. And, but there was a lot of gold and stuff up there. He knew it. So he just said, screw it, I'm going up there. He took some weapons and some stuff with him and his mining stuff. And he got up there and he got into a cave, and he got cornered into a cave by a wolf. So he killed the wolf. He ended up killing the wolf with his tools, right? And then he said, well, it's getting a little chilly here at night. I think I'll make I'll put the skin I'll make a skin out of this thing because I need it. So the way he made the skin, the head was here and it was on top of him and everything. And around about that time, he started hearing the Indians coming. And they had already said they were going to scalp and torture anyone that came in and tried to get their gold, right?
Right.
And he's trapped in this cave. So they're all out there and the tension's mounting and you don't know what they're going to do to this guy. He comes walking out of the cave with this wolf head on this wolf thing on, and they all bow down to him. And they think he's a god because he killed this wolf and skinned this wolf. They have no idea how he did that. And so now he's able to command these Indians to do his bidding. And that's kind of the same principle, the same exact principle that we're dealing with here, even though it's just a wolf skin.
Sure.
And some mining tools and a gun, or a pistol or whatever. It's still technology they didn't have any idea existed. And so to them, he was a god. That he came out of there like that was just all, it was too much. They couldn't process it. He had to be a god.
Right. And that's the reason that not any of us now, but all of us were saying, oh, the royal family, they're so powerful and beautiful. And, these past presidents are amazing. And, all these people who are extremely wealthy and so on and so forth. What are they doing behind the scene? Huh? Well, they're sacrificing people. They're killing people. They're doing blood transfusions, whatever, age reversing techniques. They're demonic. And we're starting to witness that.
They're stealing knowledge. There's nothing great about stealing knowledge. No. They want you to think they're great because they came up with all these things that they didn't invent at all. They stole it from the government or they stole it from their victims.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they've gotten it from this bloodline who has always been what appears to be incredibly evil and sinister. And again, we've got to eradicate it. And I think our president knows about this. I don't know how he knows about this. We can make all the speculations in the world. We'll never know. I would love to know. Maybe we'll know in the afterlife or something. But, I think that you're right. You're absolutely right. They have stolen these things and they act like they created it and they didn't. And we're supposed to be like, oh, they are holier than thou, which they are the complete opposite.
And the end game. What they want us to do is the same thing throughout the history of time, this alien deception. What they want us to do is believe that we can't handle, we need these superior people to make decisions for us in order to make it, because we're just going to schmuck it all up.
Right.
That's basically.
Sure.
Yeah. That's basically the message that they want us to just lay down like dogs and basically just go along with the whole thing.
Yep. Exactly.
As they say, and let them tell us because they're trying to push themselves up. And you notice how they're always putting those Nobel Peace Prizes around each other's necks and giving each other awards and stuff when they're really the biggest scumbags to ever walk the face of the earth.
Yeah. These medals, that's all they have. I mean, if you watch the Golden Globes, and the girl got up on stage and said, I sacrificed my child for this. I had an abortion for this. And they're just holding a piece of gold. It's not even fully gold. It's gold plated. What?
They clapped for that.
Oh, they loved it because they're all in the same thing. They've all done the same thing. I'm sure that they've had a baby and then they just said, hey, you can have it. I don't want it. Give me the riches. Give me the gold. Give me the fame. Give me everything. I know you will because we can sacrifice this to Moloch and be on our merry way. But no, this is ending very quickly and rightfully so. I wanted to bring up go ahead, Lynn, if you had something to say. I'll go ahead and bring up some stuff.
Just sort of round that out by saying that the reason we're talking about all this stuff is that, if anybody thinks that time travel is out of the question, it's just like the Indians who couldn't imagine how that guy got that wolf skin on his head and
Mm-hmm.
came out and survived in the cave, and to them he was like bigger than life. It was just not possible. He'd have to be a god to do that. And when something is hidden like that, when you don't have access to the knowledge, it appears, that it's impossible. But when you don't even understand the atmosphere around you, a lot of scientists talk about torsion fields and things like that. Frequencies are left totally out of our education. And look how important these frequencies have turned out to be.
Right.
And
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
yeah, we're walking around giving off frequencies and doing things we don't even know what we're doing. And so it gets us in a state of chaos to where these people, they can get away with all this stuff, and it's exactly what they're doing now. If you go on to DuckDuckGo and search it, conspiracy theory, they already knew that when people started, we got to do this Philadelphia experiment back in 1960s. They already knew that if anybody talked or told about it, they were going to start saying conspiracy theory, and they were going to do it all across the newspapers.
It works. It works. It's the same thing with, and I know you guys don't like this. I know you don't like this, but it's the same thing that happens if you talk about the Holocaust or you talk about George Soros. And Rudy Giuliani says, he throws his hands up in the interview. He says, "Whoa, I don't want to be anti-Semitic," because they've made that they've already created that barrier. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the term conspiracy theorist. Who created that term? The CA created that term, because if anybody goes against it, that's what they're labeled as. If anybody goes against Israel, that's what they're labeled as. So it's the same thing. And who's safe for last? Israel. And a lot of people don't like that. I get flack for it. But hey, it is what it is.
Well, there's a lot going on, I think, inside the actual Jewish it's like the Muslim religion. There are peaceful Muslims. It's not like all Muslims are bad people. Mm-hmm. Westernized Muslims can get along over here. They want to get along over here. They don't really want to do, they want to leave those old ways. Mm-hmm. And but radical Islam is a whole nother thing. And what you have is you have people in the middle. And I hate to say it, but they're cowardly. They're cowardly. They're not going to speak out against ISIS and radical Islam because they're too scared. And you have that in a lot of factions where people just will not speak out, and that I think it's in the Catholic religion. I think it's in the Christian religion. And I think it's in the Jewish religion, where people don't want to speak out against the quote synagogue of Satan. And I haven't quite figured out which part. I think it's almost like a copy of what's happening in the Catholic Church. Like you have your Catholics, but then you have your Freemasons and your Jesuits and your secret society.
Sure.
Catholics. And now who's up there? And in reading about these Jesuits who, it sounds like it's off topic, but it's really not, because there's some discussion as to the Jesuits being some of the fallen ones, the original Jesuits. So it's kind of all related. And it's, I think as we learn more, it is going to all come together. And we're going to see that it appears differently because it appeared differently in time. At one time they called themselves the Pharaohs. At one time they called themselves the Jesuits. At one time they called themselves the Freemasons. But they're really all the same thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, this is like going to come. I think the truth is going to come out. But all of this stuff that we're talking about now, I don't know how far ahead they are of us. But I think it's like hundreds and hundreds of years.
They're very far. They're very far ahead of us. I mean, they're talking about this. They're training people in the military to do things that all of us are so lulled to sleep by that we can't even fathom the fact that, we can't astral project. We can't have telekinesis. We can't have telepathy, so on and so forth. I wanted to bring in this video of Preston Nichols talking about and describing Montauk. It's about a 3-minute video. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. You've watched it, I've watched it, but I don't know if anyone else has watched it. I don't even know if anyone knows who Preston Nichols is. But I think you're in for a treat. This guy kind of breaks down time travel. So let's go ahead and check that out real quick.
Parallel way so that people can actually have parallel lifetimes going on.
Well, time is essentially like a real estate. In other words, as you and I can walk through real estate from point A to point B, all time coexists, and it's possible to go from point A to point B if you can find the path to go directly from. Some people believe it's taking the linear timeline, bending it over next to each other, and creating a wormhole or a punch through from time A to time B.
And so when you're existing you're at the same time, literally, like, you know, you can fold it over and wow, here I am. What about creating alternate paths then? Are we doing that with our lives because of that ability for time to sort of warp or fold over on itself?
Some of us are doing multiple timelines if we have the capability of going from, let's say, today to 2 weeks ago and working the whole 2 weeks over again. What will happen is the first pass will become an alternate reality, since you cannot have a time paradox, which is where you and you exist, two of you at the same time. That cannot be. So one of the passes, typically the first pass, will become an alternate reality, an alternate timeline.
And what did they do, though, with Al when they allowed him to grow up the same time he was already in the Navy?
Well, Al's story is a little bit different. They allowed Al to go through and have his whole life from 1916 to 1943. Actually, I think it's 1947. Then they reportedly had the capability of regressing Al back physically to a baby, and then sent him through a time portal and inserted him in another family, and he grew up all over again. There were two Al Bieliks. One is Edward Cameron and one is Al Bielek. And even if they meet, there's going to be no terrible things happening because of the fact that there was a step back in time. Means he is meant to coexist two places in one time. I did the same thing. At Montauk, I was working at BJ's. At the same time, I was working at AIO.
Whoa. Did you get 2 paychecks? Did you get to enjoy all that abundance? No. Oh, that's a shame.
I was actually working 2 timelines, one at BJ's and one at Montauk. In other words, I would be in Melville doing my regular 8-hour-a-day job. At the same time, I would be out at Montauk doing my job as well. Now, what would happen to my memories is memory is keyed in by where you are and what timeline you're on. As far as memory goes, the first pass through would become an alternate reality memory, although theoretically I could have called myself if I knew how to get through the switchboards and do it.
The first question I have is, when we're talking about time travel, again, he's talking about portals. I do believe in portals. I do believe that we do use these things. I'm wondering if there are multiple timelines, which I do believe. Is there a timeline right now where the thick-ankled is the president, and that all hell is breaking loose, and there is a World War III, and there is FEMA camps, and there is AI controlling this? Is there another timeline where this is happening, like timeline 2, and then timeline 1 is this timeline where President Trump is taking things into his own hands, pushing humanity in the right direction, like into the golden age? Is there one bad and one good?
I have an answer for that.
Okay.
I think it depends on who you talk to. I think at this point we're talking that a lot of people have a lot of different ideas about that. And when I say people, I'm talking physicists and scientists. If you talk about people in the know, people who have been researching this, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions, and they'll say things like, well, I agree with a lot of what so-and-so said, but I don't agree with this part, this part, this part. And it goes that way around and around. You're not going to find one person that has all the answers, but you can, I think in the end, we're going to have, well, look, I look at somebody's track record. I listen to Mark Taylor, and I like listening to him. And
me too.
Have all come true. And he's talking about this find, this dig. And he says it may have already happened, that they have these tablets that, you know, it's the missing information that they've been hiding from us. And that, you know, when Q says we have it all, it's like a Library of Alexandria type of thing. You know, we're going to find these tablets, I think that Mark Taylor is talking about, I think are real. You know why? Because there's missing stuff. And it makes sense. You look at the behavior of these creatures, these people, whatever they are, these entities, they hide things. They've been hiding things, like the guy in the cave. Well, the guy in the cave wasn't doing it deviously. You know, he was just trying to survive, you know, and he walked out, and the effect of it, though, was the same. These people are doing it deviously. They already know by hiding things. They already have that knowledge. By hiding things, they can make people think they're gods, and they exploit that. So, you know, then they're always looking for things to hide. And I think they're calculating in what they do hide, you know, because they want to hide things that benefit them the most, you know, and they're strategic when they hide things. They don't hide everything, but they hide the things that make other things work. And, you know, they're well thought out. They're devious in that regard in their lies.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so I don't think there is one opinion. I think there's a lot of physicists. There's a lot of scientists. There's a lot of researchers starting back in the 60s, going all the way up to now. And many of them
think there are multiple timelines, that there is a Hillary Clinton win.
I've heard that. Well, nobody said specifically a win, but what was said was that every possibility was being lived out on a different timeline, which means there's infinity timelines going on, because every possibility compared to what? Like every possibility for me, or every possibility for Hillary?
Sure, right, yeah. I guess it's your reality. It would be your reality.
Let me take the spider web even deeper. Every possibility for when I get in my car and go to the store, like, oh, what if I turn left? What if I turn right? What if I on the interstate? You know, I mean, that it doesn't seem like that could be the case. You know,
sure,
it seems too much.
So you think that this is? So you think that this is just what we're creating? If
right now, because I can only base any opinions that I have based on what I know now. So, you know, obviously I'm speculating, but if I had to make a guess right now based on what I knew, I'd probably take a guess that there were different timelines, maybe in different dimensions of a kind, or something like that. And when they talk about some of this stuff, talk about these time traveling, I think there is different types of time traveling you could do, because they're going back to the jump pads that they found in the Sumerian, you know, they found these jump pads. They found all this ancient technology. So that's what got them into the time travel and all. And also there's these drawings where these people are holding these little purses. And there's some speculation. These go across all cultures. The Aztecs, the pharaohs, all these men are holding these purses, these little handbag purse things. And there's some speculation as to whether this has something to do with astral projection and time travel. that this technology has been here before and been around before in other worlds and other dimensions and other timelines. And I think probably you have a lot of different scenarios playing out, but I don't see how every scenario could play out.
Sure. I wanted to also talk about, so you think these devices, that these things I'm showing right now, as you can see, these purses or these handbags that they're holding, what do you think they are? You think there's...
Well, it's not me. I've been reading up on this. We've both been extremely busy, and I know you're seeing your son, and that always makes me happy because I support that whole family thing. See, there's one of those purses.
There's purses on every single one of these, but what I'm saying, all these people have wings, I'm noticing. Yeah. They all have wings.
It's not me personally, but I was researching this, and there are people and scientists and historians and archaeologists and people who do believe that this does have something to do with travel. And like you said, all these people have wings, and some of them are hybrids. They're not all the way human. So like that one.
Mm-hmm. It looks like he's touching something or putting something into...
Well, that's another thing. There is talk about a stone that we don't know anything about. Mm-hmm. This comes up in Mark Taylor prophecy, in Bible prophecy, and I think in Kim Clement prophecy.
He's wearing a watch.
It's crazy, right?
They didn't have time.
Well, apparently they did.
He's wearing a Casio.
Yeah, it looks like he has a spacesuit or something on, like down at the bottom, or the boot curls around his leg in a weird way up there at the top. See how it goes? Yeah, like that.
And he looks like he has weaponry on him, like arrows or something.
Yeah. So, and those things are supposed to be significant. That's what I was reading, that a lot of people believe this has something to do with their time travel.
Sure.
Because when I came up with the purses, when I searched time travel and astral projection. So I think that's I didn't know anything about any of this, and I know a lot of people out there, maybe you guys have read the Tales of Gilgamesh. Have you read those yet?
No.
I haven't either. We're awfully busy. It takes a really long time to make videos every day.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't leave you much time to read, but the Gilgamesh thing, I think that's might have a lot of, I see a lot of the stuff that's being presented as fiction. They're lying about that too.
Well, yeah, I mean, case in point right here. I mean, this is, I wanted to show you this, how a Barron Trump time traveling conspiracy keeps going viral. And if I don't know how long you guys have been in this movement. I don't know how long you've been researching this, but as soon as I got into this, the first thing that woke me up was the WikiLeaks drops. And then it was how Biden was acting in the Oval Office. And then I started getting into time travel and stuff. And there was a lot of stuff going on 4chan about talking about, is Trump from the future coming back here? Is Steve Bannon, Barron Trump from the past? All kinds of stuff that was mind-blowing. So I found this and I wanted to share it with you guys. It says, how a Barron Trump time traveling conspiracy keeps going viral. And I know you guys have seen this. If you have not seen this book, I own this book and I think you should own it as well. This Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Adventure. If you don't know what this book is, you need to go look it up right now. Just Google search it right now because it is pretty much mind-blowing. So what I wanted to show you is how Barron Trump's time traveling conspiracy keeps going viral, and I'll make it quick. When was this? This is from the 21st, almost a year ago, in mid-January, and look who it's written by, Mike Rothschild, and he's besmirching this whole thing. He's besmirching. Oh, why would you besmirch this? Why? Right? Because he doesn't want anyone to know it's true. Because I find it to be extremely significant that a child's name is Barron Trump, and we'll just get into this right now. It breaks down the story real quick. It says,
whatever Rothschild says,
it's ass backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It says that it's about him being a time traveler in the late 19th century books written about a man eerily similar to Donald Trump, including one about his young son and another predicting being the last president. If this sounds familiar, it's because the story of Lockwood's books, Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Adventure, or 1900, or The Last President, has been in the mainstream media for over a year and a half. It was a July 2017 Newsweek article that amplified a conspiracy theory going around pro-Trump social media that these books predicted the rise of Donald Trump at almost supernatural accuracy. At one quick glance, they seem to. The first book has a young man with the title of Barron Trump taking a magical journey around Russia with an older father figure named Don. The second predicts a wealthy, this is crazy, a Fifth Avenue dwelling tycoon and political outsider whose populist common man, in quote, common man rhetoric and massive reform of the monetary system. Massive reform of the monetary system? Oh, what do you mean by that, Thomas? I mean, we're getting rid of the Federal Reserve. That's what I mean, and we're going back to a gold standard. It says here, massive reform of the monetary system inspires violent protest. That's happened. And eventually a full-on civil war that brings down the country. Could they be using Project Looking Glass to maybe break that down and maybe not get it to escalate that bad? I don't know. I don't have Project Looking Glass. I can't look into the future. But what it seems to be taking place in Iran and in France and in Hong Kong, I mean, this stuff is happening everywhere else around here. I believe this to be true, my friends. I really do. What are your thoughts on this, Linda?
Let me add a little bit of fodder to that.
Okay.
Remember Q posting, time travel is fun?
Mm-hmm. Is this true?
Yeah. Q posted, time travel is fun.
So, yeah, we do see here, how did 17 know about the voter ID push coming almost a year ago? 17 proof. This is actually from July of last year. And it says, down here at the bottom, time travel is fun, or ... space ... 17. So you said what? Why even put that in there?
To make it even more intriguing, because I clicked on the link that was above where it said time travel is fun, or, and I clicked on the link and it says, do you believe in coincidence? So I don't believe in coincidence.
No.
Time travel must be fun. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Isn't that amazing? That's incredible that we can. I want to end with that, because that was that's incredible, because I totally forgot that post was in there, and it just ties everything together. I think this is the best way to end it. I hope everyone enjoyed this Beyond the Headlines, Linda. This was a lot of fun. I know it's a little shorter version, but we are extremely busy today. I know both of us are. We've had it. This doesn't ever end. It's 24/7. And this was a great episode. I always thank you for doing that. Where can people reach you? How can they contact you? So on and so forth.
Well, thank you, Thomas. They can reach me at McAllister TV on YouTube. And I have a website right now. It's deplorablemcallister.com. And there's a chat there. You can leave a comment for me there. And I'm creating a new website called McAllister TV Online, where I hope to make that my headquarters. So you can look for that in the future. And time travel is fun.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Same thing. You can follow me on Twitter at TRUreporting. I am in the midst. We are starting right now. We're groundbreaking the True Reporting online. I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be a website. It's going to have everything, so you can just go there. Same thing as Linda said. You can follow me. Just share this on all social media. This Beyond the Headlines show is really fun. We dabble into a lot of conspiratorial things. As you can see now, we basically have proven that. Is time travel real? I believe it is. Montauk Project, Philadelphia Project, so on and so forth. CA white papers. We're bringing it for you, bringing it to you clean cut. So I hope you guys very, very much enjoy this.
may I say
Mhm.
that I'm going to be presumptuous here, but no matter what happens between our channels, we're still going to do Beyond the Headlines.
Absolutely. I think we're safe, Linda. I really believe we are. I think people know of us, people in high up positions. So I really do believe that. Zach Voorhees, who, you know, the Google whistleblower, has even, you know, told me that as well. He said, you could have been gone a long time ago. Why aren't you? You're still here. So I just pray every day that we can continue to do what we're doing. We're doing God's work. We're helping awaken a lot of people. And, you know, for that, I'm grateful and I'm thankful for it. So, Linda, thank you for doing this with me. I always enjoy it. And we'll see you next time, everybody, on Beyond the Headlines. See you later. Bye-bye.